Previously, in the last chapter, in a remote cabin, Robellia lived a simple but happy life, together with her loving husband, Andrew, and child named Merrily. Robellia has a blessed married life, or she thought so. It was until her friend introduced Robellia a job to a noble. Robellia accepted the work to earn some money, and got into the Mana tunnel connecting to the Hamilton state. Only servants and other nobles got a gate token to enter the place. Robellia innocently took her friend's hand. However, later that day, Robellia witnessed an unbelievable scene. Her beloved husband, Andrew, was having an affair and is currently having a wedding with another woman. Continuing the story, Robellia hurriedly went back home and slammed the door. Delphina thought something was wrong, because Robellia was back from work so soon. When she went inside, Robellia saw Merrily playing with Delphina, so she picked Merrily up. Robellia was going to ask if her child is having fun. But the moment she saw Merrily's face resembling Andrew, Robellia's throat was choked with tears. Robellia held back, but soon tears poured out of her eyes and she kept repeating words. Robellia let out all the tears she had held back for a while, holding Merrily in her arms. After 3 days, Andrew was back, unaware that Robellia already knew about his affair. As a loving husband would do, Andrew brought home some desserts. For the 3 days when Andrew didn't return, Robellia lived like a machine with no emotions. If this was a normal family, the situation would have been great. However, Robellia scoffed, even the box of sweets. Inside of it were the desserts Robellia made herself with Selly. Her face hardened coldly, pretending to listen to him. Robellia forced herself to raise her mouth and asked leisurely. Suddenly, Robellia asked Andrew coldly what kind of work did he do this time. For some reason, Andrew's lips, who was constantly talking, were choked by Robellia's words. Robellia changed the questions as to why Andrew was away from home for 3 days. Andrew seemed to think about something as if perplexed, and soon replied calmly again. Sensing that Robellia was strange today, Andrew asked what's wrong. Putting his hand on her face, Andrew was concerned what soured Robellia's mood. Robellia shook her head resolutely. Loosening Andrew's hand on her face, she was disgusted. Andrew added that he will be leaving again tomorrow, but Robellia already knew what he's up to. Andrew has the sweetest appearance that Robellia knew. She can't believe that she was deceived by this. Right then, Andrew gently swept Robellia's face, still worried, but Robellia instinctively avoided it. Still, Andrew leaned towards her. Robellia was repulsed, so she said to Andrew to rest. Andrew's expression didn't change, and he still shamelessly flirted with Robellia. Out of nowhere, Andrew suggested to sleep together. Andrew hugged Robellia and lay down on the bed. He was acting as if he didn't cheat. Then he whispered sweetly into Robellia's ear, saying he loves her. Robellia was creeped out, in order to escape from his arms. She deliberately turned her back. A night passed before Robellia knew it, and the day came when Andrew had to go to work again. Andrew bid farewell with his carefree attitude. Robellia didn't confront him about his affair. Robellia waved her hand and smiled brightly, until she couldn't see his cheating husband. When Andrew had completely disappeared, the smile on her lips disappeared in an instant. Robellia lifted Merrily, who was sleeping soundly. Just in time, Delphina, who Robellia had been called in advance, was approaching from afar. Robellia asked Delphina a favor to take care of Merrily again, just for today. Delphina was worried. Robellia's cheerful vibe changed after all. Still, Delphina didn't ask any further and just told Robellia to be careful. Robellia bid farewell and told Delphina that she will be back soon. Thereafter, she quickly headed to the Mana tunnel leading to the Hamilton state. She'd have to see it again with her own eyes, and catch Andrew in the act. Robellia have no choice but to attack the scene and uncover the truth herself. There were soldiers guarding, but Robellia presented the token given by Selly to pass through. There was no longer light in her emerald eyes. They just sank deeper and deeper into a very deep and dark place, like an abyss. Robellia safely passed through the Mana tunnel and stood in front of the Hamilton State. Recalling her memories of coming here with Selly, Robellia headed straight to the main mansion. She disguised herself as a maid, so that no one would suspect her identity, as there are many maids. Robellia started looking for a place where Andrew could be. Suddenly, she noticed a trolley loaded with tea and refreshments going into the room. Sensing someone was in there, Robellia stepped closer to the room. Gulping down her dry saliva, Robellia finally grabbed the door handle of that office to open it. However, Robellia was stopped by a voice. Her body stiffened at the sound of a high, dignified voice. As Robellia turned slowly, she found an old madam who dressed gorgeously. It was Lady Cruella, Andrew's mother and Robellia's mother-in-law. Lady Cruella was offended because Robellia didn't address her politely. Out of nowhere, Lady Cruella quickly approached Robellia in stride and slapped her in the face. Robellia was dumbfounded, just for that reason, to think she was hit on the cheek. It was her first time getting involved with a noble, and she could never understand. The maid who was standing behind Lady Cruella hurriedly defended Robellia. The maid didn't know Robellia really was and just sided with her, since they are fellow maids. Still, Lady Cruella wasn't the person who was moved by apologies. She angrily ordered other maids to subdue and take Robellia away. Robellia's plan failed. In an instant, the merciless hands of the maids grabbed Robellia's arms and dragged her away. It was an unexpected situation that made Robellia scream in bewilderment. Afterwards, they headed to a place where it was a very old and shady basement. The place was full of various torture instruments with sharp edges. Robellia was kneeling. Her eyes, filled with fear, wandered here and there. In the basement where she felt the chill, Lady Cruella naturally picked up a whip, as if she were familiar with it. Torturing and abusing maids seemed to be part of her routine. Robellia quickly thought that she will be killed if she doesn't say anything. She hurriedly shouted to Cruella. Unfortunately, Lady Cruella wasn't a person who would blink at the woman's plea. Lady Cruella was about to whip Robellia. She thought that Robellia was bad-mouthing her precious son, Andrew. Still, Robellia screamed that she and Andrew have a child and have a relationship. Lady Cruella's hand, which lifted the whip, stopped in the air. She was stunned. It was her first time hearing this news. Lady Cruella denied Robellia's allegations. It will be a grave accusation if it was proven false. Robellia continued that she was not lying, and it happened 3 years ago. A sob leaked through Robellia's tight lips. It was the first time she felt in despair. 3 years ago, Marquis Andrew was bleeding in the forest, and Robellia found him. In caring for him, their bonds tightened and thus, a child was born. Finally, after finding the right words for Robellia to spit out, she explained everything. One of Cruella's eyebrows twitched. She made a frown as if she was thinking about something. Cruella recalled that animeManhwa went out hunting monsters and disappeared for several days. animeManhwa was Andrew's real name, and the name Andrew was just a disguise. He was attacked by a monster, but strangely his appearance was neat and clean, which made Cruella wonder. This information wasn't disclosed to anyone. That's why Lady Cruella believed Robellia this time. Cruella's voice changed instantly. She even asked politely about her son's child. Her sudden change of attitude made Robellia widen her eyes. But she still answered. Right then, Lady Cruella told her personal maid that they should verify it. Thereafter, Lady Cruella instructed the maid to bring Andrew and Lady Margaret here. The maid was startled, because Andrew's other wife will be brought too. Lady Cruella shouted that Robellia might become a concubine. Robellia's heart sank at the word concubine. To think she became the second wife all of a sudden, knowing that Andrew enjoyed meeting another woman, and she will be treated as his concubine. Tears fell as Robellia waited absent-mindedly for Andaman and his wife to come. Concubine, her emerald eyes, which had been shining brightly, gradually sank into the darkness. Robellia sobbed and choked with tears, and tried to deny the reality. She believed that Andrew will be able to clarify things to her. The Andrew that she knew was kind and always reassures her, no matter what happens. A suffocating time passed, and soon, a faint figure was coming close to where Robellia was. Andrew, who just arrived, called Robellia's name affectionately. Robellia turned towards where her husband's voice was. However, Robellia suddenly freezed up and widened her eyes upon seeing Andrew. Andaman answered, however, his expression seemed strange. "My love, Leah," Andrew said as he smiled. Robellia was bewildered. She was in a desperate situation right now, yet Andrew smiled. Was Andrew just happy to see Robellia? Or was he happy about something else?
That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting more videos about good reads you may like, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon.